It is Wednesday. That means it's tour day. Um, I think my channel is currently hosting Mystic, so I'm going to kind of wait a minute or so to see that that gets turned off because I don't know how it works, how long of a delay it is. But while we're doing that, I will go ahead and send out my tweet. Okay, it looks like it's set up for us now. So before we get started, just a reminder about the maintenance that's ongoing today. I think they said it's going to be about a 2.5 hour long maintenance. Not too long, but not too short either. It's somewhere in between. So be aware of that and prepare. Also, according to the Starcom station wire for this month, that Sunshine posts every month, I wanted to remind everyone that the residential renovation should be coming up in a couple of days. I think it runs from the 17th through the 24th, and I think it says the Sim Chase version, which I honestly don't remember what's all in that one. I guess maybe uh, the Sim NPCs, maybe. I really don't remember what's in that particular bunch. But for those of you that like to collect those pieces and are awaiting certain uh, decor packs to become available during that special event, that's just a heads up for you that it is the Sim Chase one that's coming up in a few days. Again, that's the residential renovation event is a monthly event. It lasts for a week, and I think there's one vendor that always has certain things available, and then there's another one that rotates. So every 2 or 3 months, it's rotates back around to the stuff that it had before. So if you miss it and you're kind of disappointed, just kind of keep an eye out for the next time that it rolls around. Good morning, Bones, and anyone else that happens to be lurking around. I appreciate you guys dropping in, even if you're not all that chatty. I do want to apologize for last week. We had what we call a heat wave. I'm sure for some in different parts of the world, they don't really consider it that way, but it was pretty rough for us. We don't have air conditioning here, among other things, and we're kind of pampered by the mild temperatures, generally speaking, throughout the year. So we had a bit of a high point in the hot range, and it pretty much put us on our butts as far as functioning around the house. It was just completely miserable, and it's worse for the computer room because it's upstairs, so all of the heat from below it just rises up and it just turns this place into like a sauna. You like start slipping and sliding on your desk and sticking to things that you don't really want to stick to, and it was awful. So I ended up having to cancel last week. So hopefully that is past now. We've had some considerable amounts of rain over the last few days. That's really broken it up, made it a little cooler. Um, so yeah, we are back. So let's go ahead and get started. Today's going to be a short show. For those of you that also play World of Warcraft, you will know that the new expansion has released, and I kicked my husband out of the computer room while I'm doing the streaming because I don't want to hear him snorting and giggling because of the way I sound or what I'm talking about. So I don't want to hang on too long and force him to be not playing the new stuff in the other games. So just forgive me on that if we kind of, I'm not going to rush through it, but we're only going to do the one plot today. Well, we've got some table fans, that kind of thing, but it circulates the hot air. It doesn't really cool it off. I've thought about getting some kind of not exactly a full-on air conditioner unit, but something close. I told him though, if it's going to be a norm that we have these kind of temperatures every summer, we're definitely going to invest in some air conditioning units for the bedrooms at least, because I could not sleep worth a kapooey for like a week or two because it was so miserable. I, I don't really like the cold either, but I prefer it over the hot. Dyson, huh? Well, I'll have to look it up and see. Anyway, we are on Entity again. This is the plot of, I'm sure I'm going to say this wrong, Raius Blackstone, Raius. It's Raius, Raius Blackstone, I guess. The plot is called Arendar, and it is kind of like a town slash city plot. I like coming to these places because you get some nifty ideas on not on only custom buildings that actually have interiors that are working, but also faux fronts of buildings and stuff. Um, you can see some examples of that right here at the entrance. It's for, if you need like some kind of a filler, you don't really want access to it, but you want it to make look like there's more populated areas than it actually is. Maybe you're doing a movie plot with a studio stage scene or something, and you want to make it look kind of fake, but in this instance they're using faux buildings, but I think it's more to be like it's representative of real buildings, but they don't actually open or anything. So we're just going to kind of take a look around. I don't know if I'm going to pick a certain direction or what, but I'm going to try and explain most of the materials used. Some of them I'm not sure about. Like, I think this pillar here is from the Osun stuff in Arctera, but I'm not for positive. But you can see it's the pillar itself, this whole big tower thing is the whole pillar, and then they've tacked on the windows here and the door. The door, I think, is one of the bookcases, and then the door handle is a bottle top from either a wine bottle or some such, and then the window is, of course, the porthole window. The coloring matches nicely to the coppery bits up above, which is helpful. This one is just granite walls, and then hover part pieces for like the awnings and the partial roof there, with chua pillars for accenting. And then down here where the door is, it's just 2x4s, another bottle top, and then the little porch area or the step. I believe that's the bottom of one of the fireplaces. It looks like the one that is the Draken version, but it could be another one. It's just the shape of it and the color of the stones kind of reminds me of that one. ATW, good morning. And then of course you have this really big building here, again with the hover part piece for the roof, windows, archway, and then this one's door is actually a picnic table with a hammer for the handle on that one. Now there's a lot of little shops and things throughout this place, so I'm going to try and hit them all. Excuse me, I'm already starting to get a scratchy throat and I've barely started. That's so sad. Whoops, we're in trouble. Okay, so here's another one. It looks like a nice little house. It's basically the crowded graves, and they've just sunk it down so you don't see the base of it. They've just left the graves part visible. Tacked on some windows in strategic locations. Threw up a Draken wall to kind of blend it in a little bit. The this part here, I think, is another picnic table. Just the edge of it being used as kind of a little shoddy awning above the door. The door itself, I think, is an oversized 2x4 with the end of one of the walls for the little lip part here. And then, of course, another bottle top for the handle. For the stairway, it's just some domes or cylinders, sized down, tiered up, however you want to say it. But I like the different ideas. I mean, we've seen a lot of faux structures, and they always can come up with fun, clever ways of decorating to make it look like it was an actual functional building. This one here, I believe, is one of the empty trophy cabinets. There's the empty one, then there's the one that's got like the Christmas lights and the antler thing on it and stuffed with uh, scrolls and everything. This one's the empty version. And they've just oversized it and pushed it down so you just see the very top. And then they cap that with one of those water tank things. They've added a sign, a little bit of their own lighting. But then they set up this little, like a buffet kind of thing of food. This part here for the awning here, that's part of the Orin food cart. I'm not sure where the piping comes from. It could be any number of bits. There's oh, that honey pot thing, I think, and a couple of tanks that have these bits on here. I don't know which one specifically. But the card itself is kind of just pushed in so that you just see the apples and some, don't really see the wheels. I think this is part of a wheel or something sticking out. Just like the cardboard box here, they've got it pushed down so then they can show the little muffins or whatever these are. I think it's just purple pillows with Merc Dynamite or some such stuck in the center there. If you're wondering about how they kept the box shallow looking, it's just another box stuck in. I think it's the bottom of it that's pushed up so it looks a little shallower than it actually would be. This little display here is just one of the, it's a pair of cellar entrances being used as a little trays for the bread and fruit. If you're wondering about the glow, it's from this light here. Because it moves, the light moves, which is kind of a good effect. Not all the lights give off an interesting movement like that, so take advantage of it if you can. Again, I think this walkway here is some kind of upside down fireplace or something. I don't know which one, but that's what it reminds me of. This here, I think, is supposed to be like another faux building type of deal. It looks to be one of those pet crypts. And then they just added in like an engine part, and this is, I think it's the locked exile chest. Make it look like a little door that would open up. Now, I don't know how they got this. I don't know if this is an actual board and they've got it like multiples so that there's a paper stuff on every side, or if it comes like that. I really don't remember. But the little bit at the bottom is, I think it's the tree portrait. One of those. It's the one we like to use for cabinetry and some walls and floors because of the texturing of the wood on the back of that particular picture. Excuse me. And then I think they've added a little clamp dilly up here as well. On the opposite side of the road or pathway, which is Hover Park Pieces, by the way, there's another faux type-ish building. It's made up of, these are bookshelves. The one everybody likes to cover up, they specifically picked to cover up everything but the very top of the shelf. This is, it's either body analyzer or body scanner. It's that thing that a lot of people like to use for refrigerators or like decontamination rooms and stuff. These are Draken walls patched in around, some Oran archways and cylinders here. And then, of course, the door, they didn't really do anything for the door. It's the same wall here, but they've tacked on one of the Protostar windows. They've got the little keyhole window to make it look like an actual lock that you would unlock, and then a bottle top for the handle. Pillars for the staircase. And I think this is part of the wall generator. Next to it is an actual functioning building. And functioning is, what I mean by that is that you can actually go inside it. I don't consider it a faux, but I like the design of it. It's got like a skylight, basically just multiple framed glass. That's why some of it is a little more frosted than the other, because of the way they have them overlapped. And then there's the Hover Park Pieces for the roofing, domes for these parts, curved glass, and then curved walls with metal edge 2x4s for accenting on the front. Very nice look. This could be, they're using it as a library, but it could be any number of things. I could imagine someone using it as a clothing shop and having the mannequins on display in these windows. Here's those bookshelves in better view. But they've added the pillars, and it's 2 pillars, and then one's been twisted just a little offset. Now, if we can get a good view of this, it's kind of hard to see. But they've got a nighttime painting. Basically, I think it's 2 of the Dominion scanners to the back so that you get this nice framing here. 2x4s, a plate for the moon, the olive tree just there. For the stars in the sky, I think that's the mushroom. I don't remember the name of it exactly, like cave mushrooms or something. And then for the hills, I think it's just domes or cylinders being used to make it kind of like bumpy, or maybe it's like bushes or something in the distance. For the table, they've just added a little bit of decoration to their regular metal table. Same way with the couch. They've just added pillows to it to make it look a little different. And this one they've used 2x4s to kind of add some little framework. Little cushy chairs, just pillow and a pillow. Again, Hover Park Pieces for this kind of little inset desk. And then you have a little, what I presume to be a magazine rack, just pillars, 2x4s, and then the travel posters. This here, I think, is for this little hose part that's coming out. Again, it's one of those Osum pillars, but then they inset the, I think it's called the rusty fuel pump inside it. make it look like, I don't know, a giant generator or something, or maybe it's the hose that the firemen use or something. Again, here's the other side of that pet crypt. They've just added some hammers for handles on the door here, and then a little sign indicate that it's some kind of a commercial use building. Here we have magic potions, tiki bar for the cabinet or countertop. It's a lot of different little doodads. Firecracker here turned into a funny vase by using or bottle, by using a bottle top inside to make it look like it's capped. This one here is a little eatery. Again, notice the framed glass or a different design on the windows. Better camera view here. You see it does have a balcony with the Merg dynamite lining it. It's mostly Alliance Exile floors, Chua pillars, various windows. For the tables, I believe it's that Marauder emblem, the metal one that you get from like the Red Moon stuff. And then the bottom is, or the table base is a vent tank. They've got it working double time as part of the base and then also the candle holder in the middle. For the food area, it's curved glass, exile tables, and staircase landings. And I believe these are Merg dynamite with the bottoms of the Chua cups. Now, I don't know what they're supposed to represent. I don't know if those are supposed to be like cupcakes or I'm really not sure what that's supposed to represent. These are little salads that they've put together. It's basically overgrowth that's been just stuffed down into the bowls. Probably see it hanging out from behind there. You don't want me coming to look, make sure you block it so I can't move my camera down to show it. I think this is supposed to be the fridge, and they've taken the time to actually join some pipes up to hook it up to the wall. It's basically a ship hand locker. Now, I don't know what this part is. I want to say it's something to do with one of those Winterfest. I don't know if it's the snow globe or what. It reminds me of that because it's colorful, but it might not be. But like they got handles, the hammers for the handles again. It's already got kind of a built-in split, so it works nicely in that regard. This here, I think, is another Winterfest thing. I don't remember, it's some kind of a big pump, and it's got like the, I don't remember what it's called, but I'm pretty sure it's a Winterfest item, and they're using it as a drink dispenser. I had it in my candy factory, but I just don't remember the name offhand. This part here is a graded floor panel, and of course the glass. For the sink, it's just a bowl that's been inset, and they changed the inside a little bit to offset it from this part here. Now, if you're wondering about the weirdness of the uh, uh, stone look, how it looks repeated, I think they're using the granite walls, but like 3 of them to make the thickness that they want, and just the edge of it. So that's why the pattern repeats like that. Because they wanted a stone kind of countertop, but it's not, I guess, easy to work with the wall in its whole because it's got that wooden edge on it. So this is one way to avoid that. These here, I think, are the tops of, I want to say it's either one of the swords or the shovel, the spade thing. That's what it reminds me of. Now, it could be bottle tops, but just because of the rod here, I think it's not. I think it's the end of the spade. Hammer for the faucet. For this part here, I think it's bowls, metal bowls. You hear some meowing, that's Butter. She's being needy and wanting attention. This part here is one of the long metal crates, like a metal container kind of thing. Some of this, I think that's a detonator, chew a cup, bottoms of some bowls, flat metal table. This here is the brick pile. I think it's like 4 of them stuck together to make this little brick backing. The WildStar light again. And I think that's the wall generator again as well. Oops, get off of the stove. Then we have the squid platform. Now, if you don't like the little metal look and squid image on it, a lot of people just slip on a cylinder or some such over it, and it covers it up nicely, and then you can kind of, you know, keep it with the wood choice you desire. They capped it with one of those faux hatch doors, the granite thing. There's a lovely little couch. It's Hugel portraits for the back, trimmed with a 2x4 along the back as well. And then it has the Chua desks on each end, and then with the striped pillows tucked in to make it look all nice and cushy. This is the Winterfest hearth stove thingy, but they've added in some log piles. I guess they didn't like the holographic version of it. This little seat here is, I would say it's 2 pillows, but this is it's the Draken Shield, I think, stuck on top there. Here's that balcony we were looking at earlier. And then if we go up, hover park pieces for this little walkway here, and then nicely trimmed up with those graded shelves and staircase landings. Hover park pieces for this little roundabout. And then it's the base of it is one of the Oran windows, the colorful one it appears to be. Trimmed with the holiday lights or Winterfest lights. And then you have this little outdoor thing going on. Now these, I think, are engine mufflers or something, and then they're attached to the table via, I think that's a Merg explosive, but it's still that metal Marauder sign for the tops. And then I believe this is part of that stove chimney thing, but then they've got the reinforced walls to line the edge there. good place to kind of get an overview of a lot of the buildings we'll be visiting. Lagging a little bit for me. Okay, next to the magic shop is what appears to be a hat and kind of accessories, like boutique. Because like here are some walking canes. Basically, it's like a hanging chain. I see a sparking wire. There's that handle of the spade again. This one's a Draken spear. But then they capped them with different things. Like this is one of those technophage tubes, the golden skull. This one just has a different chain. It's the hanging chain with the Osun chain link on top. And then this one's got the blue, the tall file thing, the little cane topper here. But over here we have an assortment of, I think this might be representative of cigars, box of cigars. Go with the little smoking cigar that's over here. But these are actually the spines of books. They just happen to be dark brownish and they have that little band. Again, they're using that little trick of trying to make the cardboard box look shallow. So it's the bottom of one and then the top of another, and then they're just kind of sandwiched together to the height that the builder wants it. And they've got an assortment of top hats. I think all of the top parts of the hats is basically a cylinder at different levels and sizes. And then they've trimmed it with various things to change the look of it. So I think the base of these two are either the bottoms of a platter or the bottoms of the vent tanks. And then this one, mentioning the wrong thing, I'm not sure what this is. The shape of it throws me off. But like this one is that portrait with the little guy that looks like a gnome. And then like this one I think is a tire that they've just pushed down, so you just see the black rim. This one here, they're actually using a different center part. I want to say it's one of those exile lights that you would see like down a runway or something. Then they've added in one of those wall-mounted bits, I think, and then the flowers added on. Now for the one on the bust, I think it's mostly hover park pieces for this part, possibly a plate just because of the color of it, and then that same Marauder emblem for the rim of the hat. Over here we have an assortment of jewelry. The necklace is of course one of the string lights. I think it's the cards. I think these are the tall files, but they've been color shifted. This is the bottoms of the orange bottles. The bracelet here is just an Osun chain link. I think this is the bottoms of some glasses. This emblem has like wings, I think, and they've just pushed it down so it looks like more like a brooch of some sort. Same way with this bracelet, little hoop thing. I think again it's a bowl. I think it's the green bowl, and they've just pushed it down so you just see the edge. The little display part is the graded floor panel just tilted a little bit and made to look like a nice little display there. For the countertops, I'm not sure about this one here, but this one appears to be Cassian walls for that. Again, I think it's 3 walls, so it's 3 pieces for this whole thing, and that's why it looks repeated in the pattern here. For the earrings, I believe it's just, again, it's those signs, but it's the individual ones for the pair there, and then for the dagger or sword ones, it looks like hanging chain and then the sword on it. Some more hats here. Again, I'm not real sure what these are. I think this, the bottom, the rim, is one of the Winterfest emblems, the upside down. It's the one that kind of looks like a bike helmet, and it's just the upside down part because you can kind of see the emblem there. And then that weird part here, which I'm not sure what that is, the same thing they're using over there, I think. And then the cylinder. Another cylinder here. I think it's the same thing that they've got going over here. They've just trimmed it with white instead of the dark. And then this looks more like a lady's hat. It's a pillow with one of the wrapped gifts from Winterfest stuck into it. Now this is just a mannequin that's been stuffed down to make it look like the bust, and then they've actually managed to decorate it with a little top hat as well. I thought that was some clever, you know, if someone's looking for some ideas of things that they want to put in a personal bedroom or in a dressing room, or like, say like the backstage at a performance, like theater or something, and they're looking for little doodads that they can put together, hats and jewelry and stuff is always a fun thing to include. Or like these weird little cane things. Okay, next building. So be here. Faux building again. It's one of the crypts, and they just added in bottle tops. Or no, actually, I think these are the spade again. Those kind of looks like a skull or an alien head, to indicate that it's got some door handles. Now, notice the roofing and stuff on this one. They've added in the metal crates, nice little triangle roofing with the cover part pieces. There's some nice different shapes. Some people, when they do their towns, they stick with the same materials and just different configurations to it. But others will do like this one, just try all sorts of materials and all sorts of configurations and get some really unique and interesting structures out of it. And yeah, TW, it is a very creative use of pieces. Here's another prime example. I'm trying to get a better look at it. It's kind of hard to get my camera to scroll out far enough. You can see that there's actually some interior going on, but it looks like exile floors, cover part pieces, chua pillars, framed glass. You've got ladders for the railing here. It looks like staircase landings and bottle top for the faux door up above. This one here is actually the Orin cuckoo clock thing, and I think they've got it hidden so that the little cuckoo bird, when it comes out, it doesn't pop out and become visible. Down here, I think it's reinforced walls, and then they've overlapped it with hover part pieces, and then the door is the bottle top again. Another granite wall for the little pavement to the door there. I think some of these are just tank bottoms and tops just to give some kind of illusion that there's like some actual ventilation or something else going on. Again, there's that body scanner thing or analyzer sticking out there. And just multiple windows stuck together to make it look like little round bits for that window part there. Just like this. I'm honestly not sure what this is. It looks like one of the Osun drums, and then they've stuck that statue on top of it. Here's another interesting structure. It looks again to be one of those Osun I want to say tower, but it's not tower, the pillars. And then they've capped it with a bunch of different things. Like there's hover part pieces, round and squared and round again. And then it kind of looks like some, I don't know what this part is. It could be some of the new Dominion city building blocks that I'm just not recognizing here. It's nicely done. And then they just got a metal divider for the door with a little bottle top for the handle, or the top of that spade thing again. They really like that one. Really space agey looking. Then you have this one. Again, it's that analyzer thing again. This part here is a combo of things. I think it's the Frost well, which is also here. And then this is part of one of the Dominion staircases, and it's just kind of mushed in. And so you get this nifty little bridge kind of deal going on. This one, the roof is a combo of Dominion benches and then oversized graded floor panels. Then you've got Draken pillars. Again, they're doing that 2-pillar with the one twisted just slightly off, so you get a more round kind of column. A lot of Soul Frost pieces. All of these little wall bits and floor bits with the oozy stuff. That's from Arcterra. I think it's the ones you can get from the vendor. This is one of the tanks, the leaking tanks, and then the blobby ooze as well, part of that. So it kind of looks like a temple deal. And again, it's a way for them to use all of these Soul Frost bits into their usual build. Now, I don't know what this whole Big O thing is. I don't know if it's one single piece or multiple pieces. I kind of suspect it's a single piece, but I could be wrong. I wouldn't know which one it is. It's not familiar looking. And so Frostwell, little blobs of ooze. This one they've actually I don't know if it came that way or what. It's really nicely done though. Yeah, it looks like it came as this whole single piece rather than multiple pieces laid in to make this weird little temple thing. Here's a little better look at the top of this one here. Again, kind of like the front building that we saw in the beginning. It had like a chimney with smoke coming out or fire bits. Those you can use either the smokes from the decor pack that you get from the cash shop, or you can use things like the bubbling cauldron or the toxic barrels You can't really use the teacup because I don't think the smoke that it gives off is very strong. And I want to say that I tried like sizing it up to see if I could get the smoke to be bigger, and it's actually stayed small. I can't say for sure, but I want to say that's the result I got. But I think most people tend to use the others. So this looks kind of like a little mobile home type of deal because it's got some wheels on it. But it looks like they've parked it for themselves. Looks a little steampunky to me because of all of the metal flaring in the front and the gadgets, little meters and stuff, and the metal pipes and junk. That's kind of just what it reminds me of. So this part here, I think, is one of those. It's either a Dominion emblem or something from the Taurine. This part here, I think, is a Dominion, one of their, it's like a sandbag thing, but it's not sandbags, barrier kind of deals. And then, of course, they've got the framed glass all in the front here. Tires, cover part pieces. This part here is that disc again. It's the Marauder sign. Curved glass for the bubbly bits at top. I think most of the cab is Draken floors. This part here with the gadgets and meters or whatever, that's part of that rusty fuel pump again. And then I think this is one of the tanks that they just put down below. This here, I forget the name of it, but it's one of the pipes that you get from the Palavar Point Daily. It's the same place that you get the sewage pipes, the L-shaped one, the end cap, the long vertical, that kind of stuff. So I don't remember what this one is called, but a lot of people like to use it as the speaker for like a megaphone kind of thing, or a gramophone deal, that kind of stuff. Or like someone that's using, you know how you have like little announcement things in the town or something, and you got somebody speaking on the speaker, they use it for like that too. This one you can actually go inside, which is awesome. So they got this little couch thing. It's basically 3 chairs stuck together. These are engine parts, and then they just topped it with a pane of glass to make it look like little side tables, which I thought was cute. Again, I think this is part of one of those tanks or the rusty fuel pump. They've just oversized it so you get this big little wheel, this big wheel kind of thing. They tacked in the Chua desk. It looks like a little control panel for the vehicle. Again, I think it's those discs, several of them. You know, it's almost like a Mickey Mouse shape. It's like the big one and then the 2 little ones on the side. Curved walls, curved glass. I don't know what this thing's called, scanner thing or whatever. And then they've got this awesome telescope. We've seen several versions of this, but this is probably a really elaborate one. They've got the clamp, of course, to hold it. This part here, I think, is the charming bar, the one I usually call the fancy bar. Charming bar, I think it's 2 of them to make that little ring there. Most of it looks to be the Granite version cylinders. This, I think, is the end cap. It's one of those, again, the pipes that you get from the Palavar Point Daily. This here is one of those antennas from, I presume, the space chase stuff. And then a file, tall file for the little lens of the scope. And then they even have a little sight thing here. It's basically just the nautical wheel stuck on there. Cute little structure. Now this here is obviously, or maybe not so obviously for new players, but this is the windmill fab kit. It's basically just again, it's kind of a faux building. There is a a staircase and everything, but you can't actually go inside it. This is a combination of many parts. I see graded panels, reinforced walls, the dome, I presume curved walls here. You've got various signs, the Draken sign, the drinking signs. Up above, I think it's just 2x4s and such to make this really tall multi-sign kind of deal going on. It could be it's part of the, what's that thing called? The casino fab kit? Yeah, I think that's what this is. I think they've just blinged it up to make it look a little different than it usually does. Yeah. It's like, I believe this part is all added, the stage. I don't think it comes with that. It comes with a lot of the other doodads, with the games and the table and chairs and stuff. But I think this part is actually added in by the builder. It looks like Draken pillars, the dome, the bar light. These are the Dominion conference tables, and then domes for the stage part with now there is an actual microphone decor piece. Actually, there's like a few of them, but they've chosen to make their own. It's basically an Osun chain link with 2 domes to make the little sphere there, a Draken spear, and then the bottom of a bowl. And then they have the hanging wires or cables chunked in there to make it look like it's attached. I thought that was a nice, it almost looks like those old-fashioned radio things. Now you can get into this. I don't know if they've modified it to their own liking. Yeah, it looks like they've added a few things. Like the couch here out of Chua pillows. And then this part up here, the upstairs. The most significant being this little love seat. Again, I think it's some of the space chase parts with the pillows thrown in to make it a nice little daybed shape. Yeah, I've seen a few use different ones. There's even I think there's an engine part, like a muffler piece, that kind of looks like a microphone head too. I think I've used that in a few places myself. There's another little faux building. Again, it's that empty trophy case, and they've just blocked it up with it looks like part picnic table. Excuse me. Exile archway. This here is actually the streamer. See, I think that was being used. Ugh, feel another seeds coming on. Oh, I saw it earlier. Where was that? I'm gonna end up going all the way back to the front. I know we've seen it, but it's like a long, like a ribbon kind of thing. Oh, I don't see where it was. Oh, there it is, right there. That's the whole item. There's a blue version and a red one. Obviously, you can change the color with the color shifting now, but in this case, they left it the blue. But for the door here, it's just using the top part. That's how they're getting that little emblem there. And then, of course, this looks like exile wall, and then the metal divider with, again, that top to the, looks like a wine bottle in this case. And again, they liked using a lot of the little different pipes and stuff. Up top, you've got, it looks like one of the vents from the Space Chase stuff with the cylinder, and then it's topped with the weather vane. Here's one of those new pieces. Chromium or something. Don't remember what it was called. I think this is one of the regular ships that's been blinged out a little bit with some of the exhaust bits. I honestly can't say for sure though, because I never really mess around too much with the different ships that you get from what used to be called the ship hands. I think they're expeditions now or some such. This part, I think a lot of this is the bottom of the Chua desk. It has some weird pipey stuff that's what this reminds me of. Hover part pieces again for most of the pathways, and then of course this little run up. This part here, that's that end cap again. You've got hover part pieces, triangle pieces to get this little crown. Granite walls, granite floors. The windows here, how they're kind of sticking out a little bit, that's due to the funness of the cellar entrance, and then they've just stuck on some windows on top of that. This one's got a nice use of framed glass for not only the little triangle part here, but this little bent kind of bit as well. For this little tower, I think it's exile or Orin pillars, one or the other. Exile walls, windows, and then a dome. Look how nifty that is, how they got it bent for the shape there. 2x4s, triangle pieces. So here's that little, it reminds me of the Cozy Orin or Cozy Exile house. That's what it kind of reminds me of. Hover part pieces for the cabinetry with suitcases and staircase landings acting as the drawers and cabinets with bottle tops for the handles there. The bookshelf is the little cabinetry bar. Again, it has a lot of piping already built into that item, so it fits good. The containers for like the flour, sugar, and salt or whatever. That's just vent tanks. It's the same tank over and over, but it's just pushed down further to make it look shorter than its counterpart. The sink here, basically just an inset bowl. This part here, I think, is those bits here, I think, are from the Space Chase again. And then they've got a hammer thrown in for the little faucet top there. For the fridge, it's a combination of exile floor, Orin floors, a medical table, and then hammers. The base of it, again, I think is one of the engine parts. And then this is the exhaust fan stuck on the side. This here, I'm honestly not sure what this, it looks to be part of either an anvil or one of those, it kind of has the shape of the Osun cryopod thing. And then they've thrown in the Falcon fire pit dilly to go with it. For the couch, the base is two of those spiky coffins, I think. They're just upside down, so the spikes are sitting into the floor, and then Chua pillows for that. You can see there's a lot of patching to try and get it all matched up. Here we have a little vanity table for someone. Now, they didn't go and add a lot of vials and bottles and stuff. It could be they just ran out of space, or maybe it's slightly unfinished in here, and I just happened to catch it at a bad time. But I can imagine someone, this would be a place for one of those hats, maybe some of that jewelry, a little shrunk down chest or box for like a jewelry box kind of thing. You could put like a little mini mannequin on top to be like one of those little dancing girls on the thing or whatever. We've seen people put together brushes and mirrors, handheld mirrors, and all sorts of things that could work here. Or you could just, use a lot of different bottles, color shift some of them to make it look like different types of perfumes and makeups and things. There's all sorts of stuff you can do with this. But basically, it's just 2x4s, the end caps, and windows. Little balcony here. A little better look at how they did the windows here. Some of that Osun bracketry there. Dress it up a little bit. Yeah, I think that's the cryopod thing that they're using for that one part. You're wondering about some of these like clumps of trees. Those are just the brambles oversized. It's a really quick and easy way to get some extra oomph to your greenery without multiple pieces being required. I think this is the robot workshop, or just maybe it's called just workshop fab kit. So again, it's real steampunky in flavor to me. Here we have I guess this is the Hot Springs fab kit, and they've added in their own touches with the pillar, the waterfall here coming out of the little smoky vent. I think that's actually one of the sewage pipes, and they've just added in the water over top to make it look like it's pouring down into it, and maybe even, I can't tell if they've added some of the stones or not. Probably not. And then these little lights, like yard lights, I think it's something from um, either some of those boardwalk pieces that have the lighting on it. I'm not really sure, to be honest. And I couldn't say if they've actually added anything to this fab kit or not. Again, I don't really mess with the fab kits myself, so it's difficult for me to say blatantly, yes, this is added, and no, that's as is. So I really couldn't say for sure. Some things you can kind of tell, and other things you really can't. This little formation here I thought was really nice. I could see some people having fun with that, either at, it almost kind of looks like coral for underwater. It could also be like on an island, or some kind of old ruins. It's basically just multiples of the purple rock arch, just sized differently and sandwiched together in how they want. Again, lots of piping going on. I like how they went ahead and just embraced those working parts for the plot itself and just added in their own. Again, the smoke is either one that they got from the cash shop, or they've used like the toxic barrels or some such. The little water feature here, they've really jazzed it up with like the, I think it's the generator thing, water hose, little bits of smoke from like probably another sewage vent or sewage pipe. More of the red moon vents. This pile of stones here, I think, is the bottom of the bulletin board, just because of the look of the stones. And they use it intermittently along this with reinforced walls. It's the winding river. The hard thing to kind of match up if you're trying to do a really long bit. You can see how they've kind of worked over it with other waterfalls to kind of blend in where it doesn't match perfectly. But I think they did a good job of getting it to work through. And then they've got it draining into the giant red moon vent here. Go back this way. So this here, there's various bits again. I think this is the Draken chimney fireplace thing, Draken fencing. It's an oversized Dominion bunker, I believe. Dominion or Exile, one of the two. And then they just turned it into a little house. They've got this chair. It's actually made up of the bottom of a chua cup with a pillow on top of that, and for the backing is, again, those handles of the spade or shovel. It's more like a shovel to me, but anyway. This is the Exile holographic fireplace. Again, you could kind of see part of it here, but they've chosen to cover up a good portion of it using cylinders and Draken pillars. Just kind of make it a little bit tamed down from that bright blue. They've added in some little ice with the bottles in it to kind of make it look like it's been chilled. Go up. Got a little lab works here. again, if you don't have a place for your strain bits, this is a fun way of doing it, to be able to sneak it in even though it may not specifically match your plot theme. I think this is a porthole window, and then they've got the curved glass metal crate. Lots of little generators and stuff. Now, a lot of people like to try and use some of these tanks that's filled with water and bubbles as like aquariums and stuff, but you'll notice how problematic this particular one is, the Ichthyon version, because of the glow that's in it. Um, it works better if you manipulate the lighting of the room. I, I did a lab works for a former guildmate of mine, and I found that switching the lighting helped either make it more opaque or make it more visible with what's inside. So just keep that in mind if you're going to use it. As you know, clearly this is just a tank with some flowers in it, so it's not that horrible of an issue unless you keep doing like I do and keep turning your camera so it gets brighter. But if you're trying to do like a little scene for an aquarium type thing with some fish and stuff inside, you probably want that more visible than this is, and adjusting the lighting could help with that. I'm not going to guarantee that it will, but it could. I think it just depends on what you're using inside and everything. So some of this lab works, this is the taco stand, and then they're making it look like a little container for the goo. And then these here are those frozen skull things. This here, this little bowl, is actually I think it's a glass with one of the toxic barrels stuck inside it to make it look like a little dish of bubbling goop. This here is the medical stand. It's like got the IV drip, and they've made it look like it's a little chemical works here. The propane tank sticking out here. Labs are always great for the Ichthyon stuff because there's a lot of bubbly tubes and goop in it. Let's see, where do we go for the front here? So again, this one, I don't know what piping that's from specifically. But again, they've made sure to include all sorts of piping into this structure, this whole build. The walkway here, hover park pieces, the rusty fencing, curved glass for the little awning above. Kind of hard to see. It's the squid platform with an end cap stuck on top, and then they've got this box or cube kind of thing. I don't know if it's supposed to be like an announcement thing, a weird kind of clock tower kind of deal. I really don't know, but it's Oran floors for the cube, and then it's topped with triangles for the little pointy top. The very tip top, I think, is a Draken cauldron upside down on top of the end of that the spade handle. Then for these little bits here, just because of the coloring and the texturing, I can tell it's that Marauder emblem again. And then this part here is the, I think it's the Exile chandelier, and they've got the lights shoved to the inside. But probably at nighttime this looks really weirdly lit up. You can see on this one how they put in 2x4s and that ventake on top. Maybe it's to represent, you know, what kind of a deal it is. Same way here, got a part of that tank sticking out, and then they've added in the smoke. Just little details, kind of interesting, what people pay attention to. Like this here is actually one of those, I don't know the name of it. It's like a really tall tower, and it's got like wires coming off of it, like it's being strapped down to the ground. And they've just sunk it down so that you just see the really tip top. And then this here is one of those exile fence posts or whatever. A lot of people like to use them again in like spaceports or airports where the things are coming in for the track. They like using it that way. Here's a fun building. Again, I think it's the end of one of the metal containers, and then they've just added in a bunch of piping and such from like engine parts, the wall-mounted generators. So you see these tubes here. It's from like Technophage stuff. That scanner thing for the doorway. The door itself, I think, is the crate, the one that has like the little circle with the slash through it. For the handle, I think it's the Osun chain link for that. And then the very tip top of it, I believe, is a recolored Dominion scanner. It's usually more golden, and this is look like a little purpley blue. It looks like a really cool and interesting building. It could be like a courthouse or something, or a school, or who knows what. Here's another one. We can actually go inside it. It's got the golden arrows being squished together to make the roof here. Hover part pieces for the awnings. The pillars, again, several of them together to make those more column type of bits. And then we've got the weapon shack here for all of the different bombs and doodads. A lot of people like to use this for refrigerators. I've seen some use them oversized and make little mini rooms out of them. Okay, this one here, I think, is one of the Red Moon tables or something. Curved glass for all of this part. Same item on either end, and then they made this into what I presume to be a barber shop. You've got one of the engines being used as the pool for the water, with some Soul Frost piping for the faucet here, with 2 cups as the handles, and then a Dominion chair. I always said that thing looked like either a dental or a barber seat, and it definitely works well. Now here's an example of someone that's gone through some details to make the little brushes here. So you have a white picket fence post as the handle of the brush, and then for the brush bristles, they're just using books and letting you see the pages, so it looks a little bristly. The scissors are bowls with the swords. I forget, I think it's the broadsword or Draken broadsword or something like that. The fave. Here I think is supposed to be the razor and the brush that you put the cream on the face. So it's the brush part is a Merg explosive with, I think, some mop heads, and then the razor itself is a hammer with that exile shelf that has that funny metal teeth stuff to it. And then, of course, the bowl with, I presume, to be like a snow pile or something there. For the cabinetry, it's just hover part pieces and then the medical table there. Again, fun uses of items. People can be so clever when it comes to inventing, reinventing, existing things in a way that we can recognize them, but maybe go, wow, I didn't think of using this way or that way. Okay, so I think we just got a few more rooms to go. Trying to see. Which way we go in. Okay, so we went, that's the hat shop. I think this was, yeah, the eatery with the little dining up top. Okay, so this part here, I think the base of it is another fab kit. I don't remember what it's called, but it's like a generator kind of thing. They've used some little decoration here just to kind of, I don't know, block it off a little bit. It's just framed glass. The little platform here, I think, is added on. It's the Protostar staircase, and then the grating here is that Osun stuff that you can get from Arcterra. And I think they've added in all this up top to make this little extended part here attach. So again, it's kind of another little lab works. Or I really don't know what. I like the railing here. Just enough where you don't fall off. Again, notice the railing. Part of it is 2x4s, part of it is ladders. And you got that Osun pillar again, the chimney, the Osun gate here, hover part pieces for some of it, framed glass for parts of it. The they called the gear lamp, I think. And up here is what you would assume to be a greenhouse type of thing for this little potted plant doodad. It looks to be an upside down snowy hill because it kind of looks like it's got actual grass rendering on it, encased in a couple of the charming bars. Same way here. And then, of course, this is that gnarled root that you can get. I've got one. I've never used it. I'm scared to use it, I guess. I think this is part of those new, not chromium, but it's something like that. I can't remember what they called it. And then the soul frost well. Notice how they did this, two of them. One is the one with like the little grass, and then the other one is the bush, just to make it look a little different, just offset it a little bit. Again, it's little things like that that can really go a long ways to individualizing your plots. Even if you're using, yeah, it's the same plant as everybody else uses, but they changed it just enough. And like this, so many of us would just have it the bubbled out like this, but they concave, well, I don't know if it's concave, but they matched it more to the roof shape, and it worked really well, I think. Probably the most notable thing in here is this cabinetry with the filing cabinets and stuff. It's basically staircase landings, 2x4s, the metal crates, or I think it's metal crates. Um, these here are metal edged 2x4s, I think, and then the handles are the Osun chain links for these here. And then these two, I think it's the wooden crate, the big long one, running all the way across, and they've just covered up the middle part. Thought this was a nice little setup though. Great for someone's office or a library. Any number of places that would use any kind of a filing system, or a bank, or someone's office. Okay, I think that covers most of the exterior except for this part that is housing the interior part of the main building, which is the Piglet spaceship. This one is a fountain of their own creation. It's basically that statue with the skull head fallen off. And they've put it on top of an upside down spiky coffin. We've got a lantern inside there, and then multiple domes for the layered tiering of the waterfall type fountain that they've got going on. And then the edges is like double hollow domes. Get that thickness there. I thought it was a really nice way of doing that. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything specific else to the outside. So let's go inside. You have a nice open, lovely little home with lots of little interesting touches, like they're using the ship as the base of the table here and pretending that the travel posters are magazines, or how they've used the porthole windows as kind of a wall decoration almost. And what they've chosen to shrink down to make into these little doodads for collector thing. The couches, again, they've changed them up a little bit. This is the regular red couch, and then they've added the pillows and the base flooring part just to cover it up because it's a little and it kind of matches better with this one. But this one too is just a bench, and they've added the backing using the reinforced wall thingy with the pillows. This cabinetry here, that's a tiki bar, and then they've added the Merg explosives on either end to kind of hide that part, and then added the Merg dynamite. It's the same piece with the little spiky part, it's just the bottom of it, and this part is the top. So they've alternated it and graduated the sizes so it looks a little fancy schmancy for the shelving. Again, these kind of collection displays is really good for odds and end pieces that you're not sure where to put, but you want to just show them off. Again, lots of piping. think several of these come from the Palavar Point Daily. I think this is the first time I've seen someone actually use the ladder in a way that the character can actually climb it. Alright, Bones, we'll probably be wrapping up here in a few minutes, so if you can't make it back, I hope you have a good day. Like this little side cabinet thing that they made. It's basically, this is the base of the Orin desk, and then they've topped it with a metal edged block, and then put one of those metal crates inside that to make it look like a little portable cabinet kind of thing. Like here, I think this might be, maybe it's a globe, Chua cup, a pillar, spheres, and then the weird weather vane thing. Here it looks like a pile of cushions, but it's those red stools. I think they've been sized up too big to actually work like a functioning seat, but maybe it's just I have bad timing. Sometimes that thing will reset and it'll work fine. Here's another version of a sink. It's on 2x4s, but they've got, it looks like maybe layered glass in there to kind of frost it up to make it look like there's water. And they even have a glass kind of setting half in, so it looks like it's submerged a bit. But it's reinforced walls, 2 of cups, and then the hammer for that. Again, the cabinetry is a mixed match of things. Looks like oversized 2x4s. This here is like the bottom of the yeah, it's this one here. The empty trophy cabinet, these 2 doors, it's the same thing being used here. It's just it's upside down and you're just seeing those cabinet doors. Doing the same dispenser things here. This part is, I think, the top of the ornate chest. The one that has, it kind of looks Asian-y. It's all golden and red, and it's got that dragon kind of emblems on it. And then they've added the Granok hatch to it. The fridge, again, is another one of the ship hand lockers, but this time they've covered up most of it with staircase landings and a medical table. And then this little bit here, that's part of the, I think it's the armorer sign. It's like a shield thing, and they've just got part of it showing. And then for the handles, it's hammers. Multiples of the propane tank here, I think. Again, some of these pipings, I'm really not sure where all they come from, but that's part of it. Like this here is from the gear trophy, I think. That's one of the chimney parts. Propane tank, vent tank, Chua tank. And I think this, the copper part here, I think that's one of the ship models. Just a lot going on. Just like this part, I think is one of the ritual urns or tribal urns, like a pot kind of thing. Again, there's a lot of detail, but it's almost so nicely put in that you kind of, it's hard to pick it out. Like here's the Chua desk. and I think the Chua table, and then they've got this little birthday cake thing going on. And the cake itself, I think, is snow-covered rocks. Or like here, this is like a metal cage with hover part pieces for this little landing kind of thing. This here, I have no idea what that is. It looks like one of those pill things, but it looks almost too mechanical for that, so I really don't know. Not even sure what it's supposed to represent. But again, it's fun how they're using some different things for like wall art, kind of the oversized gears, the vent tank here. This part is just the metal dividers, and then lots and lots of framed glass for these little designs. This here is that Orin pillar again. Look at the table. It's all mechanical looking. It fits really well with this steampunk kind of feel. I don't remember what this is exactly. I think it's like a Dominion landing pad or something, and they've just got it, I suspect, upside down. Excuse me. Oh my gosh. And then put a framed glass on top of it to make it into a table. Like I like this here, this little, instead of just their traditional coffee table, they've got a triplet of cylinders, but it's not just regular cylinders, it's a cylinder within a cylinder, so it gets a different, like a contrasting God, I can't think of the word, uh, textures. You've got the Granock or Chua version inside, and then the Exile side on the out. This here is multiple bowls, just sized down, and then a candy bowl in the center to make it look a little different. And then the little fruit bowl is the hover barrel. You can see it's moving, and it looks a little weird because the fruit doesn't move with it, but not so noticeable that it's horrible to have it that way. Again, the railing is the Merg Dynamite. Notice how they've got it in kind of a little wavy pattern. And then again, the wall art is those gear lamps in a nice little arrangement. The little shelf here, it's hanging chains and decking pieces for that shelf. They've blinged out the bed with files and Osun chain links. Really nicely done. I think these parts are part of the Cosmotronic fencing. I could be wrong on that, but I'm not sure. Reinforced wall on the very back, and then a staircase landing, and then the exile sign to make that simple wooden bed into something snazzy. You don't see this too often. That's that Gothic lamp. The little dresser here, it's got that, it's either Pell or Falcon fencing, kind of creepy. Added the bow tie to the folded shirt, and then the cabinet itself is mostly staircase landings, the wooden crates, and then the files for the handles. Again, remember that the hanging chain doesn't have any collision, so you can pass right through it. Great for a beaded curtain kind of effect like this. not so great for if you're trying to use it like on a railing and you're trying to loop it around on the top, and because people won't stop, they'll just walk right off the ledge. I did that with a pirate boathouse kind of thing, and it didn't work out like I wanted, but I think the Osun version of the hanging chain, the one that's got the little clamp on the end, I think it actually has collision to it. So if you're looking for something a little bit more restraining, that would be the one probably to use. The same can be said for the um, sparking wire. It has no collision as well. I know a lot of people like use it for the bars and like their prisons and stuff like that, but you can pass right through them. So you have to kind of trick by using like something else every other bar or something to kind of make it more solid. Um, but yeah, so here is the bathroom, which is always lovely. I like the metal crates or the little cages um, being used for the base of this instead of the traditional cabinets you usually see. They just added some hammers onto it using the mattresses as towels, and then of course the toilet paper rolls. You've got the Merg explosives being used as like little canisters for soap or powder or something. Um, this for the little hanging plant, it's actually the emergency warning system. It's the little cage with the dead canary in the bottom, and they just filled it up with little bits of greenery to make it look like a little hanging potted plant. The toilet, another fave of ours. Again, some of that weird piping from who knows what. The wall generator. The toilet itself is a bowl, the cauldron, and a plate. The toilet paper dispenser is the end of the spade. The tub is actually that little inset window part of the garage themed uh, coffee table, and then they've modified it to have um, the handles, which is Chua cups. The spout is from the Chua sipper cup, I believe, and then the Red Moon bit for the drain. Notice how they're matching that by adding that metal crate there as well. I think this is supposed to be possibly a urinal. I think, I'm not sure. That's all I can kind of guess what that's supposed to be, but it's one of the keyhole windows. Of course, the shower itself is framed glass. It's a chimney, tops of the vent tanks, I think, and then another wall piece stuck in to make it look like a triangle. And then for the little soap bar, it's the snow block. This little light here, that's the bottom of the portable planter. So again, really nice little home. It's the piglet is kind of a strange shape. A lot of people have difficulty because it already has part of those brackets at the ceiling area, so it makes it kind of tough to kind of fit in things. But I think they did a good job of squeezing in as many rooms as they did. So I think that is it, folks. Um, wow, so laggy. See the Merg Dynamite on the side here. It's one of those places you can come to and continue to see different things that maybe you didn't notice the first time. Yeah, I think we hit all of the parts. So I hope that it gives you some food for thought as far as some ideas for various buildings if you're kind of stumped on. I mean, they didn't have to add this part to the roof. It looked fine without, but they added that extra little decoration just to kind of, you know, top it off. Interesting shapes, adding little chimneys to certain things, windows to others to make it look like buildings, um, with the little mobile home here as well. It's just a lot of fun touches. Wow, I can't. See if we can get a better look at some of this other stuff. Probably not meant to come up here and look, but I'm peeking anyway. But yeah, again, that's the fun part of coming to visit other people's plots is to get inspiration and you know maybe you don't use the idea verbatim, item for item and exactly how they replicate it, and really you don't want to, because then it just becomes you completely copying someone else. It's always much more rewarding if you can say, hey, I like that idea, but I'm gonna tweak it or use something, a different material. And oftentimes when you're using different materials, you face different problems. Maybe you don't have something that's exactly the shape that they had, and you have to work with getting it to blend as well as you'd like in certain instances. And that's, again, part of the challenge. But I hope you guys enjoyed the tour. We should be back again next week as per scheduled. But if you ever want to know if we for sure on, or I should say, if we have ended up having to cancel, I will announce that on Twitter. I will send out a message. That way, those that do like to come and join for the live show aren't left wondering and sitting around twiddling their thumbs waiting for me to hop on when I'm actually not going to. So just keep an eye on the Twitter, so that you can see if we do end up having to cancel, but I don't anticipate that being the case. Like I said, our little weird heat wave kind of thing. Whoops. I guess I can't mount on that particular fab kit. How rude. Um, I think that's over, so we should be good as far as that. And I've been feeling pretty good health-wise, so that shouldn't be an issue either. So fingers crossed all goes well, and we can continue on as planned. Oops. And yeah, so I hope you guys have a great day, great weekend, and good luck with whatever you're working on. And I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.